Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I know I don't look like Lori. She's out today, so I'm gonna be taking over. So if there's any interesting amendments or things you guys want to throw out today, have that. First up, let's go ahead and do our roll call. And if we want to do that as introductions.
If we can do the, oh yeah, sorry, yes, here's one below.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just go around the room and do introduction / roll call. So Peter Vollison, Roanoke City.
Ken McFadden, Allegheny County. Pete Peters, Town of Benton.
Brad Gross, Town of Benton. Woody Lips, Craig County.
Robert Wood, Town of Rocky Mountain.
Hunter Holiday, City of Salem.
Barbara Dirk, City Representative for Roanoke.
D. King, City of Salem.
Lee Osborne, I forgot my name tag, County of Roanoke.
Don Hurricane, City of Roanoke.
Billy Mark, beautiful, Buttermilk County.
All right. We have four. All right, we also have a remote attendance request from Mr. James Griffith, representing Allegheny County. He's requested to participate remotely in today's meeting of the Roanoke Valley-Alleghany Regional Commission under the Commission's policy for electronic meeting participation, allowing for remote participation for emergency, personal, or medical matters, and a physical quorum is present. Mr. Griffith has made a request due to a medical reason. I need to have unanimous consent for this, so we'll do a voice vote. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
You opposed? Great. So, is he on? Welcome, Mr. Griffith. All right. Item number 3 we have is the consent agenda. We have the approval of the agenda, the minutes from March, and financial reports as well. Do I hear any motion to approve the consent agenda?
So approved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, all right, passes. So we'll move on to item number 4, which is the chair's remark, or vice chair's remark in this case. We want to welcome a new member to the RVARC team, Molly Maxwell. Molly joins us as a new regional greenway coordinator. Molly, go ahead and stand up.
We can see behind the pole.
Everybody's looking for
This side, Matt. This side over here. Molly joins us as the new regional greenway coordinator and recreation planner, supporting both the Roanoke Valley Greenway Network as well as general outdoor economy and recreation planning throughout the region. She joins us from the city of Carbondale, Illinois, where she spent 7 years as a city planner and bring a strong background in trails and outdoor recreation to this new role at the Regional Commission. So everybody, let's welcome Molly.
Please feel free to talk to me afterwards if you have any questions or want to talk greenways or recreation. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Molly. The Regional Commission staff continue to communicate our region's concerns regarding the Smart Scale Economic Development scoring rubric. On April 16th, a joint letter from the RVARC and the RVTPO was sent to our CTB member leadership at VDOT, VADPC, and VAMPO, as well as Delegate Austin and Senator Superline, requesting a full review of the methodology. While some of our concerns were addressed at the April 21st CTB workshop, we don't feel the solutions offered by the CTB address our concerns around expansions versus new economic opportunities. We will continue to work with state leadership on advocating changes to this score. All right. And with that, concludes my remarks, and I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy for his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Just a couple quick building notes, actually. I want to first note that you're going to see an improvement to our building facade in the next few weeks as the commission upgrades our external signage. I think for the first time in 20 years, I'm pretty sure the lettering on the outside of this building was there when I came in for my interview in 2006. But you can see there up on the screen, the signage that is going to raise the external, the exterior of our building. It seems like a little thing, but we're pretty excited to present a better face to the world and to our neighbors here in downtown Roanoke. We'll also be installing some directory signage at the doors to highlight the number of branded programs that actually live here at the commission. So to emphasize TPO, Light Solutions, and Collective Response, and now the Roanoke Valley Greenway Commission will all have their homes in this building, sort of emphasize all of the regional activity that takes place here. I really want to thank Virginia Mullen. She's taken on the remarkably difficult job of coordinating amongst sign vendors who you think would not be the most difficult people to work with. We had a lot of conversations in the lobby about that very fact. But we were able to bring someone on board, and you'll see that up on the building. Hopefully by this week. But I shouldn't say anything, make any promises, but we're excited about that. The additional building, someday you all will hear me stop talking about the elevator. I do want to just give the board a quick update. As you'll recall, probably disappointingly at the last meeting, we had an out of order sign on the elevator. We have discovered that during the modernization process last year, a significant piece of the construction was never done. We won't go into the details of how that even happens, but we discovered this during the inspection and the service. We were getting a new service contractor is also bring an inspector in. It was also remarkably difficult. They looked in the elevator shaft and opened. Create a lot of questions. So we have resolved that something wasn't done that was supposed to be done a year ago. The contractor ride elevator is going to make that right, but that means that we have scheduled some additional week of construction or so in July. The elevator will be operational. Until then, I hope this is the last time I'll ever talk to you about it, but I do want to let you know, since it was a major capital improvement that the board approved last year. And that is all I have. Building is elevators and signs. Mr. Question.
Mr. Bolson, Mr. Holmes, when we come in from the parking lot, we punch a button to get the door to release and the light never changes to green. If you can look into that so we can have a green light so we know when to pull the door, that I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Does someone speak to you?
Sometimes you can hear it click. Sometimes.
Someone's always told me.
It's open.
It's open. Yeah.
I just keep pulling on it until it goes.
Okay. I mean, I agree. It'd be nice if the green light came on.
So next, we're going to move on to our guest speaker. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room has met her one of the times, whether it was at our annual meeting or another time she's come to speak with us. It's Carolyn Ward, who's the executive director of the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation. And it's going to be talking to us today about the Blue Ridge Rising, giving us an update on what's going on with that. So Carolyn?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I just requested to be able to share my screen. It's telling me I don't have permission. Let me try again.
You do now.
Okay, I do now. Look at that. We're going to do this and share. I will not be able to see you all once I make this full screen. So if anybody has any questions as I go through, please feel free to ask. Can you see one big slide, or do you see the big slide with the next slide shown as a preview?
We see the slide with the next slide preview.
Okay, let's try this. How about now?
Still the same. There we go.
Okay, great. I'm going to give like a little 10-12 minute update of what's going on with Blue Ridge Rising, an initiative of the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation, and I'll leave 5 minutes or so or whatever at the end for anybody to be able to ask any questions. But again, if you have questions as I'm going through, please feel free to go ahead and ask. It might be something that won't be as relevant later. So you all know about the Blue Ridge Rising Initiative. I'm just going to give a little quick overview about what it is in case you need a little refresher, and then the role that the foundation plays in it. But I'll spend most of the time talking about what the current status is of some of the initiatives that we're currently working on. And there are some things that we would love for you all, especially to be aware of, and you may be able to provide some help with. So as we all know, the Blue Ridge Parkway. Can you hear me?
I apologize, Carolyn. I was asking people to look at the picture of the tunnel and the roadway with the fog lines on the side.
It's okay. I hate that I am not there in person. We had a little bit of a family emergency recently, and so I've not been able to travel for a little bit. So we all know the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's our backyard. It's the most visited national park unit in the entire country. It gets more visitors than Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon combined. For every dollar that's invested in the Blue Ridge Parkway, it returns $110 to the local economics of the communities. Because as y'all know, you can't get gas on the parkway, and there's very few places to stay and very few places to eat. So you have to hop off and go into our little mountain towns. And that's what generates that $1.9 billion of economic impact from that 16.7 million visitors. It's got a lot of opportunity for drive a while, stop a while, walk a while, lots of opportunity for overlooks, for vistas, 600 and plus historic buildings. It's a wonderful warehouse of our history in this region. And it's also a biological living laboratory that we can use as one of the most biological diverse places in the continental United States. It is a treasure, and we all know that. It's our backyard. So what we do at the foundation is we traditionally have tried to raise money to help fix things like the cabin you're seeing here that's up at Peaks of Otter. We do a lot of work on the parkway, working with the park to fix projects, do programs. We also run 4 different programs: the Blue Ridge Music Center, Kids in Parks, the Bluffs Restaurant, and then most recently Blue Ridge Rising. And that's what I'll give the update on now is Blue Ridge Rising. We took on Blue Ridge Rising because, not that we needed one more thing to do, but there's this realization that these 16.7 million visitors that come, 94% of them come for the views. Well, the park does not own those views. You do, the neighbors do, the communities do. And because those 16 million folks come for those views and generate that $1.7 billion, $1.7 to $1.9 billion of economic impact, if we don't work with the surrounding communities and think of ourselves sort of as one thing, we will lose that economic engine. And because animals and plants and water don't know the park boundaries, it will also have negative impacts to the natural resources. So Blue Ridge Rising is the first time in the 90-year history of the Parkway that we've unified the 29 counties that the Parkway traverses through to think of themselves as one thing, and I would argue as important, if not more important, than the park itself. Because again, if we are not thinking collectively, then those resources will become degraded, which then degrades the economic impact of this park for our communities. So here's just a little snapshot of the 29 counties that the Parkway traverses through: 17 in North Carolina, 12 in Virginia. We did 37 community meetings in the last 2 years, heard from all the community members that told us what they wanted us to do to make that relationship stronger, better, and more impactful. And of that, 4 things really bubbled to the top. They wanted us to think about how helping to build business. How do we connect travelers to local communities? How do we connect businesses to each other? How do we try to help lift each other up? And part of that is, of course, building the workforce. We've got a lot of local kids that want to stay local. Their families want them to stay local. But if the opportunities aren't here, then there is a tendency for people to look outside of our ecosystem. And for example, last year, 45 to 50% of the seasonal positions on the Parkway could not be filled because they could not find anybody to apply. And so we've been working with a lot of groups, and I'll tell a little bit more about this, but I just want to let everybody know that the park, for the first time in history, as far as I'm aware of, has gotten an approval to do a local hiring workforce, which means you bypass the federal system for competition. So that's a huge deal. It's also a great opportunity for us to give that opportunity for our local kids. It's also the third thing that people talked about was building that sort of collective culture and tourism, thinking about ourselves as one thing. We've got a lot of art shops, for example, and they're not really linked together across those 29 counties. So it's building those kind of curated travel experiences for visitors that come. And then, of course, thinking about the future, building that next generation of leadership. So when we had those four main ideas, there were 6 themes that came out. One is marketing. We've got to market and connect visitors to the local communities better. We have to create a better visitor experience. We have to have a unified regional voice. We need to be protecting the resources that draw the visitors to us. There has to be an educational component, not just with workforce education, but education with our local youth, community colleges, school systems, et cetera. And then we have to build capacity for what's coming next. So I'm just going to hit a couple of the highlights of some of the initiatives that I think will be of special interest to you all. Again, 59 strategies, 6 themes. I've got like 7 minutes left, so I'm obviously not going to talk about all of them. But one of the exciting ones and one of the main things people talked about was wayfinding. When you're driving on the parkway, you have no idea what's down that little 2-lane road. You don't know if there's a place to stay, a place to eat, how far is a gas station, is there a hospital? So we've gotten permission with the park to pilot a couple sign examples on the parkway proper that will be similar to what you see here with the universal symbols. So instead of at the exit, it says Little Switzerland or Sparta or whatever, now it's also going to have universal symbols so that a traveler would know what's down that little 2-lane road. Then we're also working with local communities, VDOT and NCDOT, to think about what that signage will look like when you exit the parkway. You come off the entrance ramp, now you're here. Now what kind of universally branded, like it all needs to look the same, it all needs to fit the same, to be able to let a traveler know which direction to go to get to a hospital or a restaurant. Part of that is creating these travel itineraries. So this is a huge initiative. We've got a lot of folks working on this, several action teams. There's a lot of ways that people experience the parkway and experience our local communities. You might love antique shops. You might love art. You might want to go to every ice cream shop in every county. You might like bicycling or gravel biking. And so there's a lot of different kind of travel experiences people are looking for. So we're going to be working with a lot of different writers that will be hiring in all the communities. This is a good opportunity. If you all know folks that are great travel writers that create these kind of experiences, please let us know. We're putting together experiences that range everything from I'm traveling with little kids and a dog to I'm in a wheelchair to I want to go mountain biking for 3 days. And so we'll create these sort of curated travel experiences for visitors to be able to select the places that they want to go based on the experiences that they want to have. Another thing that we're launching, this will come out really soon. You'll hear about this. I'll make sure everybody gets the RFP. You guys have done a fabulous job in Virginia with the love signs. So different communities can sort of create the idea of love branded to fit whatever their community is known for or that they want to lift up. We're going to do something very similar with each one of the 29 counties. It will be based on the milepost. So picture a bigger than life milepost of 5-6 feet high, made out of whatever material, and then the community can decide how they want to select an artist to decorate it. Do they want to decorate it once a year? Do they want to make it a contest? And we'll be funding that with a small grant program. And it sort of creates like a passport opportunity where travelers would be encouraged to get off the parkway and go into Botetourt to get that milepost picture that we'll have opportunities for them to load them up and demonstrate that they've collected all the mileposts as they travel down the parkway. This is an exciting, Molly, you might like this one. This is an exciting project where we're doing with trails and greenways. So we formed an action team several months ago of 8 folks in Virginia and North Carolina. We released the RFP in January, and we have now hired a contractor. The work should be done mid to late summer. The goal here is to go into all of the communities and identify what kinds of trails and greenways you have. What kind of experiences is it, right? Is it something that you can take a stroller on or a dog? Is it to a great destination like a waterfall? Maybe some people only want to walk for a mile. Maybe some people want to go for 10 miles. So we'll sort of create this continuum, this opportunity of trail and greenway experiences. They don't necessarily have to link to a parkway trail. This is us lifting up the different communities by letting travelers on the parkway know, here's some great places you can go in this county or that county. Did somebody have a question?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Where is the picture you said?
That picture, I think, is at Craggy Garden. So it's high elevation, it's set in the fog. And when the roadies are in bloom, you are literally walking through a tunnel of rhododendron. Absolutely gorgeous. And the trail project, by the way, you're gonna be hearing from the contractors we hired. We need to know, what trails. For example, some communities like in Watauga County, for example, they don't want us to talk about Rough Ridge Trail. It's being loved to death. There are too many people on that trail. They want us to lift up other trails to try to help distribute use. So each county is going to have an opportunity to sort of help steer the traveler where you want them to go. This project is underway as well. This is the viewshed protection, which again, really is critical for this economic impact of the parkway. What we have done here is hired 2 different groups. In essence, this project is to do a comprehensive viewshed analysis of all the views along the parkway. They're not all equally as valuable, but we're bringing in experts, and you will be asked the question, what makes a valuable viewshed? What makes a valuable spot? For example, you could have a drop dead gorgeous view, but there's no parking and you can't really access it very easily. Or you could have a so-so view, but it's got a huge parking lot and a bathroom. You could have a view shed that protects a watershed. And so there's different criteria that will be established to determine the rank order of those view sheds. We've hired the company Chesapeake Conservancy Conservation Innovation Center that has done a lot of work. They did some work with the New River watershed, mapping those landscapes. But they'll give us a database of all of the views on the parkway that if you're a county planner or you work in development, you can actually go in and change the weights of the importance of different criteria. So we're not going to set those weights. We're going to say, here's the 20 criteria, and you can decide which criteria you want to rank higher or lower, and then it will spit out, here's the rank order of those view sheds in whatever geographic polynomial you want to draw. And then we also are partnering with Clemson University that's going to come in and do a qualitative assessment. The GIS, ArcGIS stuff, great, but you actually need boots on the ground. You need somebody to go up there and really see, has the view shed now been obscured by the timber, which an ArcGIS database won't necessarily pick up. So we'll be doing both quantitative and qualitative assessments. We'll be coming to the planners in every county. If there's somebody you want to be part of that to do the review of it, give us feedback. We'll be modifying it based on that feedback. And then that database will be available to everyone to be able to use. This project is the workforce development, which is, to me, really exciting because I have a kid and I don't want her to leave. So this project is thinking about how we can both do good, fix a trail, for example, but also give our local youth an opportunity to go out and work on those trails. We've already given about $500,000. We fixed tons of trail. There's been over 3,000 hours of work that has been done already. This project will continue on in the next couple years, not just giving these folks training and certifications and opportunities to build their resume, but then improving trails and outdoor spaces while they're doing it. The dark sky one is really interesting. We've gotten so much passion and enthusiasm about this because it's a little bit different twist on tourism. It's putting people out there at night. The Blue Ridge Parkway is one of the best places on the whole East Coast for dark skies. There are a lot of dark sky tourists. Now, those dark sky tourists have to go somewhere during the day too. And so that makes them even more exciting. But this project, we've been partnering with multiple universities. There's now, this list is not even complete now. University of Virginia came on as well. We've had Wesleyan and universities up north, as well as down far south of Western Carolina University. Professors are coming out with their students. They're doing dark sky readings. We want to try to see if we can get dark sky certification for the whole Blue Ridge Parkway, because if we do, then that sort of just puts you at a little bit of a different level when folks are looking for dark sky tourism opportunities. And it is a dark sky. And then the last two are the Regional Unified Voice. All 29 counties have passed a resolution supporting the work of Blue Ridge Rising and supporting the collective, which has been extraordinary. We've got ambassadors in every one of the counties. Thank you, Jonathan from Botetourt and Pete in Roanoke. And of course, Ken, I know you're not in an adjacent county, but you sort of are. So we'd like to thank everyone who helps connect us to the community and then the community back to the work that we're doing. That work has not been unnoticed. We are currently in the North Carolina governor's budget for $1.5 million, which will help us be the match for the ARISE grant that we received. We've gotten lots of funding and support from the groups that you see on your screen here. Some groups are funding the whole corpus of work, like Dogwood Health Trust or Appalachian Regional Commission. Some are funding very specific strategies. So there might be a funder that only cares about this one thing, and that's fine. And then we've got some funders that are funding very specific projects, like a funder just wants to do the work at Craggy Gardens, doesn't care about the other stuff. We'll take money anytime, anywhere we can get it. And then Virginia Tobacco Commission has done support. They're supporting the work we're doing at the Blue Ridge Music Center to improve the rock amphitheater is sort of crumbling, and it brings a lot of travelers and tourists into that location. And so Virginia Tobacco Commission has been very generous with helping for that work. And then finally, we've got the two-state summit that we do every year. Last year, it was at Hotel Roanoke. This year, it's going to be at Biltmore. It's August 25th through the 27th. And it is where we bring the leaders of all 29 counties together to update current work and talk about next steps, and then bring in some outside folks to give us some, little bit of guidance about their successes and or failures that we can all learn from. And I will stop there and see if there are any questions. Jeremy, did I do okay on time?
Perfect, thank you.
I thought you went 30 seconds up. Are there any questions for Carolyn?
I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Holmes for inviting Carolyn to come and give this presentation, because the Blue Ridge Parkway, as John Hull with the Roanoke Regional Park Partnerships indicated, that the Blue Ridge Parkway is an economic generator for the Roanoke Valley, and we all need to see it as that. I was a volunteer at I don't know where you are, Carolyn. I was the volunteer for the Blue Ridge Marathon, and all the people that came to the marathon were just talking about the wonderful amenities in the Roanoke Valley. I'm hoping that once the construction on the Blue Ridge Parkway is completed, that the Ironman can come back to Roanoke. And I was learning from the law enforcement people that were there at the intersection of Mill Mountain Parkway and the Blue Ridge Parkway. They were saying we need to get the Roanoke Mountain back open again, because that's a huge, huge draw. So thank you very much for the presentation. And I did call attention to the fog lines, because on the roadway and on this new construction, they're putting in guardrails. And Congressman Klein and Senators Warner and Kane have been very supportive of edge lines and the fog lines along the parkway for safety purposes. So thank you again for the presentation today.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. This was a great presentation. I was really kind of shocked to find out that there's 40 to 50% of positions available. And kind of want to figure out how to get more of our people into that route, especially as you said, to keep people in this area. So thank you for all that you do to help us with this, with the Blue Ridge and the important economic driver that it is.
That we used to have Sounds in the Mountain, which was a music event that was at the Mill Mountain Campground that's now a day use center. And they were not able to have it last season because they couldn't hire someone. So this is really important. They got 200 to 500 vacancies now. And as Carolyn said, the process for hiring has been made easier.
Yes, it's great. Well, thank you, Carolyn, and thank you for keeping it on time too.
You are very welcome. And as much as I'd love to stay and hear all the rest of the stuff from your meetings report, I think I'm going to have to go.
That's okay. We're getting into the real fun stuff. We have the draft budget.
That's what I saw. And unless I'm in the draft budget, maybe I should stay. Thank you all. You have my contact information. Barbara, nice to see you. Love your pen. Please feel free to reach out. You've got my email and phone number. And if not, Ken or Jeremy or somebody in the room can give it to you. Thank you all for all the work that you do.
Thank you. All right. And with that, we're going to move on to the draft budget for fiscal year 27. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. You should have a copy of the staff report and the draft budget worksheet of the 39 in the packet. You can have a chance to review it. We're going to go over a very high level. So I'd like to remind folks, first of all, we started our budget earlier this year at the direction of the executive committee. So we're getting you some numbers earlier, but it's important to remember that the regional commission, we're funded by a number of grants and appropriations, and a lot of that isn't resolved yet. So the numbers that you're looking at are still in flux. There's some negative numbers to know that the other context might be scary, but we're going to talk about sort of what we know is going on, what we expect to happen over the next 30, 60 days, and even some things that have changed since this went to you in the agenda packet last week. So this is very high level, but there'll be time for questions at the end of this, if there's anything that you as the board are concerned about. We're going to talk revenues and expenses. The biggest dynamic that you're going to see in the budget is if you're looking at the revenue side, you're going to see some real big reductions in revenue in FY26 or FY27 for FY26. You're also going to see corresponding big reductions in expenses. And what that is from is we have a number of single grant programs, primarily the hazard mitigation grant funding from FEMA and PDEM, the end of the Virginia housing grant that we got in FY21. Those programs are all coming to an end next fiscal year. So those aren't sort of ongoing sustaining funding, and those were all in multi-millions in many cases. So as those programs are wrapping up, you're seeing those revenues drop. But primarily if you're looking on the contract expense side, you're seeing corresponding reduction in contract expenses. That's where that money was going to contractors, to consultants and other sorts of programs. So that kind of balances out from those major programs. as I said, we have got some projects, the Virginia housing is one of the three ones, where those housing projects will probably be done by the middle or end of next year. We were awarded Virginia opioid abatement funds at a lower, where we're budgeting them at a lower rate than we had asked for. There may be some good news is that but those dollars may come in higher than we were budgeted, so sort of a worst case scenario, but right now we're budgeting those dollars at what the information we have back from a cooperative grant that goes through Roanoke City and Roanoke County. They actually put that grant together and then award us for the Roanoke Valley Collective Response, the administration of that program. So those funds are lower. So if you're looking at the FY26, FY27, that's why you're seeing a drop on the VOAA side. That may not end up being what that number looks like when you see this next month, for example, or in June. But that's just the explanation for why that revenue dropped. And I'm really sort of hitting just on the kind of the bigger, scarier numbers on the revenue side. When we get through here, you have a question about any of those line items. I'll do my best to address them, but Sherry is also here if we did get anything further. So that's a lot of what you're seeing on the revenue side are just those reductions, those one-time for the opioid grants. On the expense side, not so our biggest expense increase is on the salary, the wage and salary that's coming from two kind of primary areas. One is in late 2024, the executive committee and the board gave us permission to revisit our salaries mid-year and adjust those based on market correction to bring the commission salaries a little bit more in line with our peers of local governments and just generally competitive to bring in the quality of planner like Molly that we're able to bring on board. So we started this year from a larger base, and therefore that increase is consequently larger. We also have been lucky in the past several years that our health insurance has been relatively modest, but we did see a 14.5% increase in our health insurance rates this year. So that is also driving up our salary and fringe benefits. The other reduction you're seeing on the expense side, again, primarily in contracts, is that flip side of what I described earlier with those various one-time projects coming to an end. We have been trying to address deferred maintenance in this building, elevator issues aside, working with the executive committee on a capital improvement program. And so there's a number of things that have been in the, we've crossed our fingers that everything's working fine, but who knows what tomorrow will look like. So we do have some money in the budget to address some of the core building systems. You know, we basically, through the $300,000 investment in the elevator, says that we own this building, we're here for the foreseeable future. It's not let's invest in making sure the core systems are working. So there's a higher building expense. We're looking at doing a pipe replacement in our maintenance room to address our plumbing. We got some leakage out there. The pipes are pretty old. They've held up till this date, but I don't want to be the executive director that floods the building. So we're going to address those in the budget. So one of the negative numbers you're seeing is that we will end up having to pull some money out of our reserve to address that after we kind of resolve all the other issues. So that's that last number, that $79,000 number that's in the bottom line. That's kind of a placeholder while we resolve some other things, but that we usually are able to. Sherry calls it profit. We have a little bit of money that we carry over and invest this year. At the moment, we're not forecasting being able to do that just with all the other budget pressures and with that building remainder. But like I said, there's even some things that are changed since this initial budget was developed. We have in the past received funding from the Southeast Crescent Regional Commission. That agency's been a little flaky, so this year we did not budget anything from them. About 3 weeks ago, we received notification from them that they would be awarding us some funds, both for FY26, so we have to figure out how to spend that between now and September. And now we are going ahead and building that money into FY 27. It's $15,000 in each case. It's not a lot. But it's every little bit counts when you run a grant. So that this budget does not reflect funding from the Southeast Crescent Regional Commission. As I noted, we're a little more optimistic about where the opioid abatement authority funding will come in. And also, we received a significant chunk from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration to support the collective response. And you might recall back in January, there was a nationwide crisis when Health and Human Services canceled $2 billion worth of grants overnight on a Tuesday night. They reinstated those within 24 hours. As a result of that activity, we were much more conservative about budgeting for SAMHSA. We've heard better things, so we're more optimistic. This doesn't reflect that at the moment, but we're more optimistic that by the time we get to the end of the fiscal year, we'll be fine with SAMHSA. I hope by saying that, I have a chance to fit. We have an open position here in our community development partner department. Mr. Brian Hill left us 2 months ago or so. We have made an offer to someone. She will be joining us in July. She will be coming in as a planner one rather than a senior planner. So this does not reflect that the wage will be reduced to reflect coming in as a senior planner one. That's going to save about $30,000. That's not reflected on the wage side. And then finally, if you read the news this morning, the General Assembly does not plan on passing a budget at this point in June. We have two revenue sources that come from the General Assembly. One is our DHCD funding. We get about $141,000 from DHCD. I'm expecting we'll get that, but they're going to push this year, as you might recall, for all planning districts to receive about twice that from the General Assembly. We haven't received a funding increase from the General Assembly in over 20 years. In real inflation adjusted dollars, we get less money now than we did in 2008 timeframe. So we're not optimistic, but that could happen. There's also water supply planning funding. We are doing water supply planning for the Upper Roanoke River and then the James watersheds. That is in the Senate side, but not in the House side. So we do not have any money budgeted right now to do the water supply plan. That may come out through the conference projects process and with the event reflected in the budget. So there's still a couple of unknowns. So where we are now is very early draft. We will have a much more solid draft to you in May, and then a final budget in June. So expect a lot of changes to these numbers by the May budget, but we wanted to give you sort of where we are now. And any questions that you might have. This has gone to the executive committee. We had a very extensive discussion about that. So I'll certainly invite Mr. Paulson if he has anything to add. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have about any of the line items.
I think you did a very good job, Jeremy. Are there any questions from the commission?
Got one. Jeremy, approximately what percentage of the budget is dependent on the state budget?
Very small. We get our regional funding, which is dues and General Assembly, about 400,000, 114 of that is the General Assembly. So it's a very small portion of the revenue that we get that we use to match against all the other grant sources. And Bailey's grant sources don't even require a local match, so it's a tiny piece.
Okay.
We would like it to go up to the 300,000+. It's that source of funding is our most flexible source of funding. We can do pretty much anything with it, and as I said, we use it for match, so we can leverage that against other grants. Right now, where we are now, we're about capped out on what the dollars we have to leverage against additional funding sources, which is one of the cases to the General Assembly to give us that additional money.
And I know there's been attempts a couple of times in the time that I've been around, the last 4 or 5 years, to try to increase the funding for all of the different commissions around the state. And there's been times where I think we've sent letters of support, but has there really been a significant change?
There has not.
I didn't think so, but
Yeah, I will know, I'm not optimistic that we'll see anything. There was no budget item in either the House or Senate side that went into conference for PDC funding, except for Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads somehow, they've got Louis Lucas, I guess, so.
Right.
So
Right.
they got, their PDC got a funding, increase in the budget. We're hopeful that maybe we will be a bargaining chip that will make someone happy and that the conferees will make that choice and give us the funding, but we're not confident about it for this.
Okay, thanks.
And I don't know whether you've received your invitation yet, but the joint meeting of the Roanoke Regional Chamber and the Salem Roanoke County Chamber legislative wrap-up, which we normally do in May, will not be a legislative wrap-up, but it will be interesting to see what comments get made at that.
Yeah. Our delegation has generally been pretty supportive. We work very closely with them on a number of issues, and Terry Austin is a conferee, and we've worked with him quite a bit. So that's what gives us a little bit of hope that Delegate Austin will be supportive if that opportunity arises.
So just a couple of questions. I know it's a relatively small amount of money, but Appalachian Regional Commission, 64,000.
Yes.
We had a conversation recently about how you appropriate or allocate that funding. So just any opportunity to provide a little more clarity on how that money is leveraged, I think would be appreciated by the ARC localities. And then contracts, that's principally Virginia Housing.
Yes, that's our major contract. There's others in there, but the vast majority of the Virginia housing money goes out to contracts. So that's what's impacting that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I'll have more information to you.
Awesome. And I also want to thank Jeremy and Sherry for their hard work on our budget. As you know, we have all these different grants and different projects, and they do a great job of balancing that out every year. So I just want to thank them for getting that all started a little bit earlier this year. And for the great job that you guys continue to do that. Thank you. All right, so moving on to item number 8. Got the fiscal year 27 Rural Transportation Work Program, and Mr. Robertson is going to.
Hopefully this is still working. Good thing I'm very loud. So this is the culmination of the Rural Transportation UPWT. I know you guys got a draft of it, but I'll go kind of quickly through some of the highlights of the things that are moving into FY 27 from this year, and then some of the new requested activities for this year. So some of the ongoing projects that we will continue in the following year are the Greenway and Trail planning support, planning and technical support for transit providers, micro transit services, regional counter program update, smart scale application process support, regional truck parking task force, and the I-81 corridor engagement. New activities for this year, the Rural Long Range Transportation Plan, which Allison is well underway with. Most of you guys are probably contacted about it at this point. But we'll wrap that up next year. The Alleghany Micro Transit Feasibility Study, which has already kicked off, and we'll try to wrap up next year, in the Clifton Forge Active Transportation Plan update. Any questions about any programs?
All right, no questions.
All right, awesome.
All right, we actually do need a vote, so we didn't update that slide. We did it on the resolution.
Yes, please, well.
Need a motion on.
Is there a resolution or do you?
There is a
Page 50.
I think we can.
Yes.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second the resolution.
All right. All those in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so the resolution passed. Thank you, Mr. Robertson. All right, and moving on to number 9, which is the introduction of the 2050 Rural Long Range Transportation Plan. Ms. Burnett, back to floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Hello, everyone. So today, I'm gonna talk about the 2015 Rural Long Range Transportation Plan. I know 2 months ago I had mentioned it, so this is my presentation. I will just preface this by saying that I have contacted a lot of you, already had meetings with the majority of you. And I have 2 meetings left with Craig County and with Botetourt County. So those are my remaining people to talk to about this project. We're contacting the planning staff and supervisors of the areas. So to start with, I just want to kind of give a background of what the Rural Long Range Transportation Plan is, who's involved and like what the purpose of the plan is. And then in the next slides, we'll talk about where we're at right now in the process. So the most recent and the existing Rural Long Range Transportation Plan is the 2035 plan, and that was adopted in 2011. So obviously, a lot of things have changed in our areas since 2011. So this process is going to be working with the involved counties, VDOT staff and transit operators and the Department of Rail and Public Transportation to identify what the existing conditions are in the areas, what are new needs, other transportation opportunities, studies or projects that are ongoing in the areas, and then future needs and projects to have incorporated into one document. So we are at the beginning of this process. I can go through all the counties if you would like to before I get into the process. So I'll just do that briefly. So we'll have the counties of Alleghany, Botetourt, Craig, the rural portions of Roanoke County, and then Franklin County, the city of Covington, the towns of Clifton Forge, Castle, Boone's Mill, and Rocky Mount. And so in this plan, we are going to be incorporating Franklin County. Previously, West Piedmont Planning District Commission has been the overseer of the transportation for Franklin County. But we are going to be working with West Piedmont Planning District Commission to incorporate their information, as they are also working on their 2050 plan right now to incorporate that, just as, you know, we are so connected with Franklin County and just the movement towards, you know, consistency between our planning documents and coordination with our Southern Planning District Commission. So we'll be working alongside with them. We have the exact same timeline for this plan, so that I think that would be really good with coordination with people in our southern area. So why is this document important? I know this probably is like the first time that many of you have heard about this document, since it has not been adopted since 2011, unless you were here in 2011, then that was great. So the reason that we need to have this document, one, it is a regulatory document that we have to have, that we're required to have to maintain our rural projects in our areas within the Planning District Commission. So we are going to be having transportation priorities. So right now, we're looking with our partners about what the previous priorities were, seeing if they're still priorities, and then trying to identify the new priorities. A lot of the areas have already done many of this work with their comprehensive plans, which have been great, but also trying to look at what are the areas of like regionally significance, what are our major corridors, things like that, that cross different jurisdictions. So we'll be doing that, and then the document is also really important for funding opportunities. A lot of people reference this document in their comprehensive plans or their grants and applications for, you know, getting a corridor study, implementation, a raise grant, a build grant, something like that. So we really need to make sure that we're going to update these projects so it's relevant for people to be able to use as reference. And then also, this is just a foundation and coordination. So we are going to be working in depth with our VDOT partners from the Salem district as well as the Stant district, and seeing sort of where things have changed, because the 2035 plan was actually developed by our VDOT partners. So we have a lot to learn from them as well during this process. And then we are going to be identifying needs. So since 2011, you know, we have the introduction of the Virginia Transportation Plan, V-Trans. I know a lot of us have heard that before. So looking at what our V-Trans needs are in our rural areas to help support smart scale applications and things like that. So a lot of that information is gonna be included in this document. So anticipated timeline, so we've been working on this project since this last fall. Trying to identify scope, coordinate with partners to see who we needed to talk to. And right now, we're still in the data collection, looking at the existing conditions and then seeing what our needs assessment process is gonna look like. And we've started our stakeholder engagement and public outreach. So we've had 5 meetings so far with our localities. So then I mentioned we have 2 more. And we will be working with your locality training staff if you have that as well on the process. So we also have a survey that's out right now. And it has been open since October. And we had planned on closing it in April, the end of this month, but we need more feedback. So we're gonna extend it and we're gonna potentially look at some other opportunities for engagement. Often possibly in-person meetings and things like that. So we'll definitely be reaching out and working with your communities to figure out what best works for your people so we can hear their needs. So that's going to try to end at the end of the summer. And then in the fall, we will come back with an update of the development of the official goals. A summary from the public engagement, looking at the needs, strategies, and then trying to start looking at what our project recommendations are gonna look like. So that will be the next update for you all. And this is the QR code to the existing survey. If you would like that, and I also can send it to you. So that is all the information that I have. Sorry, that was a lot.
Questions?
Allison, the Bike Route 76 was first ridden in 1976 to celebrate the 200th birthday of our country. And that now we're celebrating the 250th birthday. But not as many cyclists are riding on Bike Route 76 anymore because a lot of the rural area has become suburban. And so if there's any way to look at Bike Route 76 as it comes through our area, I know it's in Wausau County and Roanoke County, to see what can be done to make it more accommodating to the long distance cyclists. I sure would appreciate that. Of course. Thank you.
Yes, sir. The Bike Route 76, there is a study plan on the TPO side, so that's on in the UPWP for the TPO. So we will be looking at that next year.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Do you have, any data on survey results thus far by locality?
I do. We have a pretty even spread between our areas. And we tried a couple different strategies of just by trying to get to people digitally. But we are going to try to be more present in person as well. So that's we're looking at opportunities to go sit at libraries, things like that. You know, we tried a couple different strategies. We posted in all the local newspapers and we had campaigns to kind of see how that traction was, and unfortunately it did not yield many participants. But we did, we had a airing on WFIR. And so I did an interview with folks there, and that was aired, I think, a couple of times at the beginning of the month. That was the first time that I've ever done radio, but I think things like that are good, but I would like to do more things like that because I think that we might be able to get people, if they hear it, you know, a lot of people listen to the radio. But so that was what, now we're trying to pivot to see if there's any opportunities to have public meetings in the places that we're trying to reach people. And I think that would be a good opportunity, go to farmers markets, go to libraries, things like that, to get really involved with the people, because I want it to be an equal representation from everyone. And, you know, I think that that's the goal, you know, so I think we have under 2,200, not 2,000, I wish we had 2,000, 200 responses at this point. So I was kind of hoping for something greater for the scale of what we're trying to get at with all of our counties.
And you said you were gonna extend the time frame for the survey.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you tell me again what you're looking at there?
Yes, So originally I had said, you know, we had started pushing it in October and we were gonna end it in April, at the end of April. But now we're looking to potentially push it into June. Just so we can hit all of the areas, have a couple of different opportunities. In libraries and farmers markets. I've heard that that's a good way to get to people. So try to coordinate that and get our faces out there. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we've experienced thus far is that people don't know who we are. So I think with working with our locality partners in those areas, that'll really help us be able to get in the places that we need to be.
Mr. Lips is a champion of the Craig Botetourt Scenic Trail. And we'd love to connect that trail to the other trails that are across the state. And I'm hearing of some movement out in Southwest Virginia, so I don't know that this transportation plan has thought about the off-road trails, but we had a group from Roanoke do the Rock Star, which this weekend was from Harrisonburg to Mill Mountain. So, I mean, so those kind of trails are happening.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Net.
Thank you.
Appreciate the presentation. Okay, we'll move on to,
You want this? Okay.
we'll move on to number 10, which is our strategic plan update. And Mr. Hump, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I will run through this pretty quickly, but we adopted our strategic plan first since 2019, last December. And one of the things we want to do is just give you quarterly updates on where we are. So welcome to your quarterly update on where we are. So I'm just going to highlight some areas where we've made progress. I'm not necessarily touch on every single goal and objective, but just to talk a little bit about where there's progress or activity or things coming up. So, you know, build more partnerships was our first kind of strategic anchor. One of the things that we have reinstituted, partly as part of the work plan, but we're continuing this, is our planners lunches. We hold them here. We serve food and we give planning staff of all the member localities a chance to come in and talk to each other, talk about issues that are facing them, and then we eavesdrop on those conversations. And that helps us, you know, what can we be doing as a regional convener to maybe support those staff, the project development, prepare for the upcoming, you know, work program here or identify technical support opportunities. And it's always been really useful. Some project ideas for our last work program came out of those discussions, but I think it's also just a relief for the local planners to get to sit in a room and talk to each other about the things that are facing them. And it's as much a therapy session as anything, but we all come out liking each other more. So we're continuing to do that. We have one on deck in a couple of weeks. Right?
On May 5th.
May 5th is our next one. So if your planning staff are not participating in that or are not getting those messages, there's just someone in your locality you want to make sure has an opportunity, please let me know. And just to be clear, that's not as any planning staff. So we want the economic development staff there. We want the transportation staff there. We want to break down some of those silos and make sure folks are eating good food and talking to each other.
Maybe we can send you, I have an invitation out already and have invited several people, but if you would just want to suggest anybody, and I might not have on the list, just send it to Jeremy and I invite them.
We'll make sure they're at it. Our strategic anchor 2, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lips.
I was gonna say, if there's a free lunch involved,
Yes,
you can
lunch.
put me on that. I'm the default Craig County planner.
We have very loose standards. For what kind of house is a planner. I think we can get you invitations to it. Our anchor 2, honing our program focus. This is focused a lot on making sure that how things get into the work program, that we're identifying project priorities, doing the things that we have to do, and the things that are needed at the local level, but also making sure our energy is supporting the things that we think have a real regional impact. We made progress on all of this. A lot of these items are happening through the new work program and budget committee, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. You recall, I think I brought to you as part of the strategic plan update, these core program concept, the 6 core plans that are things that we have to do, and all of them touch on each other. And so, even part of this work program year was trying to emphasize those projects that crossed multiple plans, and really focus on implementation. That core program process around natural resources, again, you'll recall, we identified a gap that we didn't have any sort of governing plan around the environment or natural resources, except for the hazard mitigation plan. The board gave us approval to approve pursue some kind of natural resource management plan, but that may not be its name, and it may not look like that sounds, but the work program for FY 27 includes the scoping and initial foundation work around natural resource protection and inventory. Some more in that space. So this is the regional report card. We had a request actually from John Holt, the partnership, for a copy of the report card, which brought up that we hadn't updated it since 2017. So this was sort of an inventory of those programs or organizations that are explicitly regional in focus. We're actually gonna, this is listed as not started because we made a decision to revisit what that thing does, and have a more tightly organized effort with the Roanoke Regional Partnership, the Workforce Investment Board, Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge, so that it really is a regional report card from all the leading regional organizations around how we're all getting along with those programs and activities which are crossing multiple boundaries. That number 4, the quarterly updates to this board, this is a little bit like make a to-do list on your to-do list, so you have something to cross off, but this is just emphasizing that we're bringing these things back to you and providing you updates on how the plan is moving forward. The restructure of the work program committee, that's done. Got several members of that group here. They fortunately do not have been having to meet after today's meeting for today, but we really did take a significant restructuring and additional responsibility in that group. And I hope it's been a good experience. It's certainly helped us at the staff level with the work program this year. The local and RVARC staff generated ideas. Part of restructuring the work committee was allowing staff, partly when we're listening to things like the planner's lunch and maybe identifying some opportunities to submit ideas to the work program, but they're evaluated by the work program committee, looking at the budget and the strategic plan and funding sources and all that. So it gives them a chance to be considered in a fair way without, not making sure we're still meeting local needs. And then the SEDS committee, that is been a kind of a passion project of mine. Amanda McGee, who's not here. We are also tearing that down to the roots and rebuilding that. We've been working on that for the last couple of months, and probably have some more information to you this summer, but we're trying to reconsider what that group does, make it more effective. And particularly, we've still not got an EDA grant with region in a long time. That really should be the goal of that group. So we're trying to make sure it's focused on project implementation and funding acquisition. The position the region for greater reach and impact. A major thing that's in progress right now is really focused on the Craig County, the Allegheny Highlands. We are organizing a summit. Carolyn mentioned her 2 Safe Summit. We are looking at another 2 Safe Summit with Virginia and West Virginia and those counties that are just across the street from each other on the border. So Craig County, Allegheny, our friends in Central Shenandoah with Bath Island, and then Greenbrier, Pocahontas, and Monroe counties of West Virginia, bringing those folks together to talk about things like outdoor economy, recovery ecosystems, Appalachian Regional Commission fund acquisition. West Virginia pretty good at it. We're not as good at it, at least in this part of Virginia. Engaging with West Virginia University and some of the resources they have there around outdoor economic impact. And just getting those folks together because great Mr. McFadden's here, but it's farther for him to come here, but it is for him to go to Lewisburg, West Virginia. So we recognize that there's a lot of activity around those counties that we need to understand better and figure out better ways to support. So that's one of the activities we're still working on additional ways to engage with Franklin County and West County. And I won't, there's quite kind of a lot here, but this is really around our legislative and advocacy efforts. We're working much more closely with the Roanoke Regional Partnership and their relationship with Two Capitals Consulting on our legislative outreach. Definitely working with BAPDC. I attended my first VACO meeting a couple months ago. You'll hear a little bit more about this in a moment. The last legislative committee meeting, we are going to formalize that group and establish duties for them outside of the legislative work. So there's additional advocacy work that will be coming up over the summer. And heard me talk a little bit about the coordination, better coordination with the BPR, Regional Partnership, Workforce Development Board, chambers of the leaders of those groups now get together regularly to talk about these and identify regional issues and opportunities and challenges. And that has led to things like the report card, revisioning and some other activities. So we consider that done, but that's an ongoing kind of relationship with those groups. So where we are now is out of 30 objectives, we've completed seven we haven't started yet, but 16 are in progress. Some of these, this is a 3-year strategic plan, so in progress could be very literally defined as the things that are going to happen in the next couple of years, but there's some sort of activity as big out on. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions about those items or any questions about where we stand on the strategic plan in general, but we're definitely making progress already and very pleased with having gone through that process and having that document to help that commission focus so that it's energy.
Any questions?
I'm pleased with all that's accomplished. Thank you.
All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item.
This also be a breeze. I will real quick from the SEDS committee report out. SEDS committee met last month. We reviewed chapters 1 through 4 of the upcoming SEDS plan update. You will see that full plan later this year. It's in the drafts yet. And we also did that. We hosted the SEDS meeting at LEAP, the local food program. They walked us through a lot of the work that they're doing around local food sheds, farmer support, which is really pretty remarkable. And then some upcoming activities around the Roanoke Region Food and Farm Trail, sort of tourism and economic promotional activity again focused on local farmers. And I've got some information if you're interested in getting involved in the kickoff of that effort, which is next month. But they're doing really remarkable work, and it emphasized that there's a lot of economic activity around food and agricultural activity in this region. So the SEDS committee is to move forward.
Just a couple of really quick updates from the collective response. The advisory committee has established a bylaws committee to review and update our governing documents throughout the summer. And at our April meeting, the committee received a really fantastic update from the Allegheny Highlands Community Service Board, and we will pursue opportunities for future partnership with them. Thank you. Nice to see everyone.
Well done, Taylor. Very good, yes. And then well done.
Well done. You said well done. Okay.
Finally, I will do my best to do this to more justice, talking about our legislative committee's work. Legislative committee met last month. We primarily spent 45 minutes complaining about the General Assembly. Largely, the committee's discussion was that without the General Assembly having set a budget, we don't have anything to know whether we succeeded or not. We're not confident that anything really on the commission's legislative agenda side, significant movement in this session. The next steps, again, no budget till June. So the legislative committee expects to move forward with a smaller legislative agenda. The sense is that, given what we've learned this session and what we're probably looking at next session, the region should focus on a smaller number of things that we think are the really, really critical things, and particularly that we can align with the chamber and the partnership and other folks. So we're gonna, likely in May, look at drafting a smaller legislative agenda and bring that back to this body in June for approval. It may not look that different, just again, a shrunk down version of what you've seen before. And as the strategic plan identified, that group is going to be formalizing the bylaws. Mr. North has been the chair of that group since its inception years ago. He will be giving up the reins. Mr. Hunter Holiday has volunteered to become the chair of the legislative committee once we go through this transition process. As always, we are excited to bring any new members on. So if you are interested in General Assembly activities and general advocacy for the region, and we will be looking into that group to help with other ways to raise our profile and which we're on, please let me know, and we will be sure to engage you with that group. All right, that's it for committee reports. Question.
All right, thank you, Mr. Holmes. All right, moving on to item number 12. Is there any other business to come before the commission today?
I do have another business, but I wanna, Barbara,
Oh, yeah.
what is May?
May is bike month.
All right. Yes,
Now,
so,
I'll forget her.
That's an easy one.
yes, I was very excited to do that. Thank you for explaining. So yes, May is Bike Month. And we're here to celebrate Bike Month, and we always honor Bike Month. This year, we really worked and started our planning earlier and convened our local partners, local nonprofits and organizations that celebrate Bike Month. We also work with localities and our region partners in the New River Valley to host all the Bike Month events or bike related events, bike happy events in the region. So I invite you to check out this page. It's on the Right Solutions Events Bike Month, and also we have a challenge here listed as well. But everything is contained in this page.
Oh, wait, go back up. So,
Yes.
is that Joe Cobb?
Joe Cobb is down here somewhere, but no, this is not Joe Cobb.
Those guy with the tie?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, that.
Um,
do that.
So, we're hosting a statewide challenge, through our partners at, DRPT with the Connecting DA, application. We are hosting a regional Love Your Commute. We believe that if you're outside and you're biking or active, and on top of that, you're getting to where you're going, that is a happy moment. So we're calling this Love Your Commute Challenge. It's a Strava challenge. So you are a Strava user, you track your walks or your bike rides, please join our club and you can win prizes throughout the month, with a local sponsor, Black Bibs. We're celebrating national events. Bike to School Day is May 6th. The city of Roanoke is hosting several events in local schools. And if other localities are, but if they are, then let us know. We can promote your events. Bike to Work Day is May 15. Bike to Work Week is May 11 to May 17. Here are all the events that are currently that we're aware of that are happening in our region. So again, there's a little bit for everybody. There's movies, there's educational events, the Rite of Silence, which is hosted in Roanoke City. The Mayor Cobb will be leading this bike ride. Oh, speaking of there's a food, a scavenger hunt, hosted by the Roanoke Region Food and Farm Trail. So, another, local hosted event. And, we're also, crossing the Alleghany, they celebrate, with, the several bike rides that happen in May. Hosting those events as well, here on on the website, but again, so if you know of something, or if you don't, then come over here and check out, there might be something happening in your area that you don't know about. Another thing I wanted to show is that this year we wanted really portray and tell people how happy it makes us to bike and love our commute. So we have actually gathered testimonials from local bike enthusiasts. So I was just gonna share one with you if you don't mind.
I'm Astria Howard and I love biking in Roanoke. I'm a very casual cyclist, so I'm mostly a greenway rider. I also like to ride to grocery stores or bars and restaurants. I think biking is just a really fun way to be in the community, and it makes your trip somewhere part of the fun of the experience. I love to bike because it's a way more fun way to get to where you're going. Driving is stressful, it makes you feel kind of isolated from your environment, but when you're on your bike, you're experiencing nature, you're saying hi to people, you're part of the community, and it's a joy, it's so much fun.
All right, yeah, so you know, I did Rockstar with the dog on this.
May I speak? She's finished?
Yes, I'm finished. In case anybody has any questions, I'm sorry.
I would like to give a shout out to our staff member, Ride Solutions, Andrea Garland, because when I saw her at Pedal Safe, I said, she told me, she says, well, I'm riding Rockstar. And I thought, well, that's good. What she's gonna do with her husband and her kids. Well, she took her husband and her kids on Rockstar, and each one of them, those girls, she has two girls, one's 10, the other's 13, and they rode individually their bicycles from Harrisonburg, Virginia to Mill Mountain Star. That's the Rockstar. And there's a way, I was just so excited. So a shout out to Andrea and her family. Then she came to vote. And then she here.
They actually did ask me, like, what are you biking?
She said, I rode from Harrisonburg. So, I've talked to Mr. McFadden before about the trail that connects the Roanoke Valley Greenway to the Horse Trail to Dowford to on up to Clifton Forge. But they spent the night in Clifton Forge and went and ate and drank at the
Red Lantern?
Yeah, so I mean, that Clifton Forge isn't too far to bicycle, and you can be 13 or you can be 10. Oh, 10, and you can do it with a smile on your face. So I wanted to give it a shout out to that, and then I've talked to you all about a mayor's bike ride with the Greenway getting connected, and it just wasn't able to get done this year. That Pedal Safe has suggested that Joe Cobb's going to be doing the Ride of Silence. And for the other localities, if you would like to ride with us during the Ride of Silence, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have more mayors there. And if you want to be a mayor, you can be a mayor too.
Oh, good. I'm gonna come to that. So I'll be a mayor too.
You can be a mayor. All of you all can be mayors of your domain.
Mr. Lips could be a planner and a mayor.
And that's on May 20th. May the 20th, and it's in the city market. Right.
I'll invite, make a special.
Wonderful. Yes, invite all of our mayors.
All right, any other comments or from our members? All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to adjourn. Sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, let's get out of here.
Good job.
All right, since we're so excited. Thank you. Thanks so much. That's great.
Get out of the chair.
I know.